Hi, and welcome to EV Chat. I'm Kieran Andrews, a software engineer and an EV enthusiast. So today we're going to be talking about Hyundai unveiling their 2024 Hyundai Kona electric specs. Tesla is testing semi-autonomous driving in Australia, electric fire trucks for Arizona, and electric buses for America for cleaner air. Joining me today is my friend Victor, who's a graphic designer and another EV enthusiast. So what are you excited to talk about today, Victor?
Well, there's a couple of ones. The first one is the Kona one. The Kona, I'm very, very interesting because I also have that you have invested interest in this one in particular. So I want to go and I want to really sink my teeth into that because I am full of questions about those prices, those things, those features. I do not understand. I really don't. Just
All
before
right.
the podcast, I actually pulled out the numbers for the prices in America, where they make way more sense, and I want to sink my teeth into that
All
one.
right.
The rest of them,
Awesome.
you know,
People are going
yes.
to notice that I have a black eye. I know it's a little bit embarrassing for me, and it's a boring story. I woke up in the middle of the night, hit my head on the bedside table, and I've had people asking me about it all week.
It was me. Anyway, all right.
All right, you ready to go on the first one
I
then?
am ready to go. I'm ready to go. I'm dying. I am full of opinions. I
Hyundai
can't get them out.
Kona.
All
Hyundai
right.
Kona unveils the 2024 electric specs. So they announced the pricing for the 2024 electric. There's going to have some price cuts. So I guess that's exciting for some people. $500 price cut for their entry-level Kona, $2,500 for the mid-level models. So of course the entry level has a 48 kilowatt battery, quite small, 370 range. So it's quite efficient battery, which is good. Hyundai have very good efficiency. It's comparable to Tesla, so that's exciting. 64 kilowatts on their mid-level, and their top tier has a 64 kilowatt battery, which, yeah, again, they're quite small batteries, very efficient, lots of range. So 500
Well, lots of
kilometers
range.
range for the mid-level.
370 for what I'm reading here.
Yeah, 370 for the entry level, 444 for their top tier. Of course, yeah, there's just the basics. They include battery conditioning, LED lighting, dual zone climate control, wireless smartphone chargers. They do have differences, like the premium model does have a better audio system and smart parking assist. But yeah, I guess the question for you and the question that's on my mind is this going to compete in the EV market? Is this good enough to compete with the Model 3?
That's
Or
the
Model Y?
main. That's or the Model Y. So first of all, I need to ask you this because I know that you personally, Kieran Andrews, before the Model Y was announced here in Australia, you actually pre-ordered one of these ones. I don't know which trim or which model, but you did order one of these ones, and this was going to be your first EV, just what, roughly about a year ago,
Mm-hmm.
and this looked like a good option. But so you were going to buy it, but the price makes absolutely no sense to me. Like I really cannot make sense of this pricing. I know how much it's in America, because I actually pull it out in the pricing in America, and the American watch starts at $25,000 American, which is roughly around $40,000 Australian, and the limited trim one super spec is $31,000, which would be similar to like 40 something Australian. Those prices make no sense, especially for who are they competing with, which would be a direct competitor to Tesla, but they don't have the range and they don't have the battery efficiency. Even when they are good cars, they are just nowhere near. So that is the main problem with these ones. I'm like, what are you on? Like, I can see how the MG4 is trying to break into the market. I can see how BYD is trying to break into the market.
Yeah.
I can follow all of that.
Well, I used to recommend to people that to get Konas, like when it was at the time, I think it was cheaper-ish than a Tesla because Tesla was actually priced higher back then. They were relatively good cars, and they're also like a car that's a little bit more like a normal car. It's kind of a little bit. So yeah, for some people, I recommended the Kona, but back then there wasn't anything else. There was no BYD, there was no EV6, there was no. Like even the cheaper ones. There was no MG4, like MG4 as well. And so today now, in the current EV market, the Kona I just don't think it's going to sell against the BYD Atto 3, which I think is probably its closer competitor because it's just, it's
No.
similar in that it's also like a normal car as well.
I will disagree with you right now.
disagree?
Because I don't think that's no. I disagree with the highest competitor because why didn't you buy the Kona, Kieran?
Why didn't we buy the Kona? Because the Model Y came out.
Because the Model Y came out. So you were recommending the Kona because the Model Y was not out and there was no SUV or larger car or family car. Now, the Kona is that, and it's competing directly against the Model Y, having a very, very similar price, couple of $1,000s less. And it has lesser range and lesser features, and it's, in my personal opinion, a lesser car. So the only reason what I could justify buying a Kona over a Model Y, like directly one-to-one, is because you don't like Tesla, which I get it. Lots of people don't. They don't like Elon Musk. They don't like the company. They don't like. So it's an option for that.
But like if you just want to not Tesla, there's so many other better options. That's what I'm saying. Like there's the Atto 3, there's the MG4.
But the Atto 3 is not as big. The MG4 is not as big. So we're talking about like cross.
The Atto 3,
SUVs.
I don't know. I'd have to check on this. Somebody will probably correct me in the comments, but the Atto 3, I think, is comparable in size. Like the rear seat in the Kona that I test drove, like it's 2 years ago, no, 1 year ago. So the previous model, the rear seat, it's not very long, the actual car, and so the rear seat space is not very big, and the boot space is also not that big too. And so if you compare like rear seat space and boot space to the Model Y, it's like miles ahead.
Well, you've seen both because you saw the MG4 in fully charged in Melbourne.
Yeah, there's an MG4 next door.
Yeah, and you're going to fully charged again, which is pretty cool. Sorry, at this point I'm just boasting all of your knowledge. but what I'm saying is you've seen them both. Do you really think that in pictures, because I've never seen an MG4 physically in front of me, I've seen the Kona. Does it for me it looks like a small, like I don't know, like a Nissan Navara or something like that. It looks like a Corolla or something like that. It looks like a regular
MG4 is more like a Corolla, whereas the Atto 3 is more of an SUV kind of crossovery sort of car. MG4 and Corolla I think are very similar, although I do like the look of the MG4 a little bit more than the Corolla.
Because you don't like Toyota.
Anyway,
you own a Corolla, actually.
I do. There's one out in the street. Yeah. No, I don't know. I just the MG4 looks nice. I think the front of it is quite nice. There's the orange color, the blue color. Yeah, good.
The orange looks good. But regardless of that, how can you justify the prices of the Kona, which we know they are not the same that the ones in America? So they come inflated. They come with without any of the grants that have been taken away, at least in South Australia and a couple of states.
Yeah.
So
the pricing is completely wrong. I don't think they're going to sell almost any of them. Like, sure, they'll sell some because people are going to like it and want it because of the brand, maybe. But yeah, value-wise, it's just not there.
But here's the kicker. Here's the interesting bit, and I don't know if this is all over the world the same as it is in Australia. But Hyundai has some of the best value in cars. Period. Like, they are incredibly good value, those cars. Like I'm sorry, they look great. They come with lots of features. You could say that whatever about if they're good or bad cars, but just in general of the amount of stuff that they compact in and how they look, they are fantastic value. So that's the bit that really makes me scratch my head. Like, why are they doing this? And especially because the big numbers are not there. The range is not there to claim those prices. So is it something that is just, in America it was this price? Oh, well, it's in Australia, it's further away. We have to ship them. So, just make them just double the price, because that's what they are doing. They are literally doubling the price for the Australian market.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I don't know, some companies do that, but when you compare with their competition that are able to get cars in at much cheaper prices, they're just I don't know. It's not there. Value's not there.
Value's not there. And probably just on the final thoughts about this, it's simple. Everybody else is doing it somehow, BYD is bringing these cars for a similar price to the ones in America, maybe 20 or 25% higher. Same with Tesla, 15, 20% higher. The fact that these ones are double the price, because we have the other pricing right here in front of me, 25,000 for the standard one, and I'll repeat myself, 31,650 for the limited one, makes absolutely no sense to me. But anyway.
Anyway, and
it is what it is.
The low end one in Australia, 54,000, high end 68. So yeah, is close to double, but the interest rate
close to double, maybe not double,
is not that.
But but hold on, 68,000 plus. These are not driveway prices.
Exactly.
So
so you've got to have all the like taxes on road, everything
on road. Yeah. So it's gonna close. It is gonna come close to double, I would think. Anyway, even if it doesn't, it's very, very high.
Well, yeah, the entry level Atto 3 is 48 before on roads, which is cheaper than the entry level Kona by,
and it has better range as well.
$6,000.
And it has better range as well, if I remember that from the top of my head. The Atto range. Can you check on that one? Just the range real quickly for the Atto?
Atto 3
because
is 410 kilometers just on a quick Google search. That's more than 370.
That's more than So,
and the reason why is that it has a bigger battery, 48 kilowatts, whereas the
look. And I know that people would say, "Oh well, Atto, BYD, Chinese cars, whatever." They left it in the comments, and that is true. But if we consider what's happening in Australia with Chinese cars, with your Havals and with your Great Walls, lots of people are buying these cars, and they are great value. If they break or they don't break, it's almost irrelevant because they give you a 7-year warranty. Now, I'm not saying go and buy these cars. That's not what I'm saying. But my sister bought a Haval, and I said, like, "Oh, why were you doing that?" And she said, "Well, look, it has a 7-year warranty. Even if it breaks, we're probably gonna sell it before then." So they have a really, I don't know how to call it in economics and in marketing. It's called dumping, which is you come in with a price that is really, 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 really low to position yourself and try to move everyone else out of the market, because the only way that you can sell is by pushing everyone else away or making them drop the prices and therefore lowering the gains. So that's what they are doing, and I cannot understand why Kona is not pricing themselves more aggressive. I that's probably the main one for me.
Yeah, and if you look at EVs, like the majority of EVs are all Chinese made. Like nobody else can compete on EVs.
Yes. Well, I guess Tesla, and that is what a lot of people like about it. Yeah, well, the ones in Australia are mainly made in China, but you have Germany, and you have Texas, and you have all of those things now as well.
Yeah, as a company, they do have other factories, but yeah, for the ones in Australia,
for the ones in Australia, it's China. Yes, of course.
So
anyway,
I was keen to move on to the next topic that's exciting for me, which is that Tesla is testing its semi-autonomous driving software in Australia, which I think is well overdue. I wish they did this sooner, and I don't know how long it's going to take, but this is exciting. So they're reportedly testing their semi-autonomous driving technology, which is known as FSD version 12, on Australian roads. This came as part of a leak on Twitter. The technology is not yet approved for public use in Australia, and it currently costs $10,000 to purchase FSD, but it can't technically be deployed until the regulatory approval happens. The testing indicates that Tesla is planning to eventually roll out the system into Australia, which I'm excited for because I'd love to be on the beta and actually try it myself. And their actual smart summon feature, which allows the cars to come to its user via the app. That's also being tested locally as well. So this was posted on Tesla Scope. You can see here, V12 and ASS, what a great acronym, is being tested in Australia as we speak, as well as another dozen other countries. So not just Australia, other countries too. But yeah, you could see the
all right. The question: you are an enthusiast. Are you going to get it?
Well, yeah, I'd love to. I think if FSD beta comes here, I would absolutely love to, and it would make that purchase a lot easier to stomach. But right now, it's a waste of money because you don't really get anything for the money.
Well, you get like 3 or 4 things that
Yeah, automatic lane changing is kind of good, but again, autopilot for my trips to Melbourne and between Melbourne and Adelaide is good enough. So I don't need to spend the 5,000 for enhanced autopilot. Being able to summon it from my garage would be kind of good because it is a tight space and it would be great. But again, like I'm not going to pay $5,000-$10,000 just for those 2 features. The smart parking was cool, but I'm also worried about it like scratching the rims because I've heard that it does that too. And so yeah, it's not a compelling offer right now. But if FSD did come, I think it could be.
I am still concerned about the cameras. I am still concerned about the Tesla vision over the sensors. So I would like to see how they're gonna do I don't know, circumvent this, because my main problem with the camera is incredibly simple: is cameras get dirty. I have to get out of the car a couple of times to wipe down my camera. So if that's the only thing that you are going for, and you are ready to start deploying this, there's a couple of things. So we don't have the radar, and then even the sensors, even the parking sensors, are also being taken out. So it's going to be interesting if they are ready to move worldwide with testing the FSD. Maybe they know something that we don't. I hope they do. But it's interesting. That's all I would say about it. I don't.
Yeah, well, there's some really good signs out of the US of the beta there, and that it can do some really good things. Again, there are some really weird edge cases where it is not able to cope, and we keep hearing about sort of more incremental updates. There's not as much like stuff coming from Elon going, oh, it's the greatest ever, it's coming out, etc. There seems to be a lot more of a slower burn of making it better and those sorts of things. But yeah, from all the videos I've seen, it is very impressive and it can do the majority of the driving. It just, in certain situations, kind of gets weird.
So, as a software engineer, this is a good question for you. I've heard that this car is fantastic in San Francisco, for example. That is very in the Bay Area. It's almost like you were saying, just it will drive itself. But that is also because there's been lots of testing for so many cars on the road, so many Tesla cars in the road in particular. Do you think that we have enough data from Tesla cars and from wherever you want to actually try to push this worldwide and for it to be safe?
Well, that's the thing. It needs to be pushed worldwide so that they can get the data and they can test it. So,
but they're getting the data now. In theory, don't they?
Yeah, but I think the computer has to be updated to the software version that has FSD in it in order for it to train against. Now, I could be wrong.
Okay.
Maybe they can use the video from like a V11, which is what we have, I think. And they can use that training data to train FSD, but I suspect they need the software on the computer to be able to train it. And so that's why they have, like, they're starting this testing in Australia. They're starting to do it, and they have some, like, I guess, staff member cars that are running around and starting to gather the data. And then as more people jump on the beta, then more of that testing data is going to happen for that. Yeah, I could be wrong though. It could be able to train it with and they've got their Dojo supercomputer that can do a lot of the training as well, and they've got simulated environments too. But yeah, it's good sign though, because there's been no news in this area for a long time. I suspected that they were just going to forget about it and just not think about other countries. But this is good.
I think it's
when,
good
though. Is it going to be this year?
I am skeptical. As you are skeptical about the battery chemistry, I am skeptical about this. I saw an incredibly good video. Oh, I wish I remember. That's what, about a year ago. About this engineer talking about what you require for cars to drive themselves, and it was very, very interesting. The increments that you require from drivers as well, like. There were like these computers that would actually just send data to a server from people driving every day without camera or anything, just how they move. And so they would actually train how lanes move and what they're going to do. They were able to actually listen, the indicators change. So all of that information would be like being beeped in real time to a network Hive, and all the
Mm.
cars would know where everyone is going. So they know that at 8 a.m. you go to the office and you take this road or these two roads. You usually go in this lane, and if you're gonna change lanes, so all of the cars know exactly what you're going to do at every single point. So even if there's cars that are not being driven by themselves, they know what everybody else is doing. That, I think, that is very, very interesting. I don't know how that could
Mm.
be a reality in the next 5 to 10, maybe in 20 years, but that is what
Yeah,
is
the problem
required.
is though that you need every car to do that, right? You need all
Yes,
cars to support it. You need some sort of you need car manufacturers to agree on some
yes,
sort of standard,
yes, yes,
etc.
yes,
And
yes.
like with standards that it takes so long for them to be approved
Ooh,
and to
no
get
more.
people
Yeah.
to agree. Like it's just, yeah, it's horrible. In IT, there's a standard, and then there's another standard, and then it's like, oh, let's make another one to like try and combine these two standards, and now you've got three standards you got to support. So it's just a nightmare. I think that's why Tesla's taking the strategy that they're taking, in that they are wanting the car to do it all themselves, and not, it's not like some of the other manufacturers are doing maps of the world, and it's only being able to drive on certain roads because they've pre-mapped the road, that sort of thing. Whereas the Tesla solution is, okay, we're going to build a super generic solution that will work in hopefully any situation. And well, that's the aim, is that they want it to work in any situation. Any situation that's thrown at it, anything unexpected, it will be able to handle it and deal with it. Whereas the other ones are very much, oh, we're going to have to create a sort of, I don't know, in the program or in the code, we're going to have to create a list of, oh, okay, this is this thing, do this if that happens.
And
And
Tesla's not that way.
it just doesn't scale. It doesn't scale if you have to do that. They do use a thing called labeling for Tesla. So Tesla does label stuff. And so it's like, okay, this is a stop sign and this is that. But then the AI will eventually learn and be able to pick up things that are similar to that using the labeling. I know they were using labeling as well, but again, this is not my expertise area. I'm not always up to date on the latest detailed
Fair enough.
technology part of exactly how Tesla's doing, and I just keep hearing things and I get excited about it. But if you want coverage, there are channels out there with much deeper analysis on the
Yes,
latest version. And
absolutely,
exactly.
absolutely.
But yeah, for me, like from my perspective and where I'm looking at it, that's how I see it.
I'll tell you why. I don't know why I'm a little bit confrontational about this matter. This is my problem with Tesla. I think EVs are the future. I think EVs is the way forward. I think EVs are all of these things. But for some reason, Teslas are also very entwined with the full self-driving. So when someone hears all of these things that the Teslas are struggling with, they think, oh, they are bad cars because they cannot drive themselves, and they are two different things. So when I hear this, the very first thing that I think is like, oh God, people are gonna get hurt, or there's gonna be this accident, and it's gonna be on the news, and all of a sudden, all electric vehicles are crap, and we're gonna go through this thing over and over and over, and that's what I'm concerned about. I especially once you remove the radar and the parking sensors, which for me is a double whammy. It's like because that's also one of the things that really help the Teslas drive themselves. And look, he said it many times about the cameras. I still personally remain very skeptical about the cameras as a single solution. But
Yeah, well,
again,
the cameras can do, and it can do single vision. Yeah, I guess the evidence recently is that they launched the parking feature using cameras, and there are so many videos and so many reports out there of how it just abysmally fails. And so they had this confidence in a camera only solution being able to detect distances, and you can see that it doesn't. So yeah, recently there's not been great or exciting news on that area. I don't know. I'm still optimistic about it. I feel like
I
you
am
can,
concerned.
because the human eye is the same, but yeah, I don't know. Like, that's the problem. I'm possibly too optimistic, and I think that it is going to happen, but it's going to be when, and if it's in like 5 years, it'd probably be too slow. and other competitors are going to catch up.
The way that I would say it, just to maybe just move forward, is this. This is a needed change. This needed to happen. It's like, but I know it's gonna taste more sour than sweet. So I am not as optimistic. I was like, woohoo, let's go. I'm going like, oh Jesus, all of the crap that this is going to cause. I am more on that side, but I also think, well, maybe down 5, 6, 7, 8 years down the road, it'll be fantastic that I will get my car, whichever brand that is, and say, you know what, just drive me to the game and have a few beers, and maybe by law I would be able to let the car drive back, which would be fantastic.
That would be pretty cool. To
That would
feel
be very
like the car will be safer than a human driver, and that you could do things like read a book or watch a movie or something, and your car drives you, and and it's completely fine. But I think we're a while away from that. So
and this is a needed change, even when I am skeptical. That's what I want to say.
Yeah, so any progress in this area I'm still excited for, even though I'm like, I like to stay realistic about it, but I'm still excited, still try to stay optimistic, even though there's lots of signs that, But there is some optimistic news that I wanted to talk about, which is that fire trucks in Arizona are going to be electric. So we're going to have some electric fire trucks in Arizona. So E.V.s, which is a subsidiary of the REV Group, has delivered an electric fire truck to the Mesa Fire Department in Arizona. The truck is named Vector. It's the first truck in Arizona and one of the first in the United States. It can pump 4 hose lines at 750 gallons per minute, or for 4 hours on a single charge. I don't know anyone out there that knows how impressive that is. I'd love to know. It's stationed at Fire Station 221 in Southeast Mesa, or Mesa. I probably butchered the pronunciation, which is equipped with an EV charger. Of course, they need an EV charger to charge their EV fire truck. And they plan to aim for carbon neutrality by 2050. So, it's still a while away, but that's good to have that they have that goal. The Fire Chief Mary Camelli highlighted that the health and safety benefits of this initiative, like of the innovative technology, when talked to, it has a 327 kilowatt hour battery and a pump capacity of 1,250 gallons per minute. They will be using the Vector as a test case for potential cost savings and efficiency improvements in city operations. So what do you think about that?
Well, this is a lot. Look, I know almost nothing about none of the. I don't even know how much is a gallon. So let's rip that Band-Aid off. I guess. Well, in every single way, shape, or form, I reckon is net positive. The only concern that I would have is politics around it, being like, oh well, it's a fire truck, it may catch on fire. You know. Besides that, I mean,
wouldn't that be fun? Is the electric fire truck puts out an electric car fire?
Yeah, that is something that may happen in the near future. But so
that'll be on the news everywhere, wouldn't it?
For me, probably the other thing that, and this is like the FSD, to keep pushing, saying that the electric cars are an immediate solution for climate change is just a little bit,
There's this article that the US study reveals that electric cars saved 1.8 billion litres of fuel in 2021. I know this is probably another whole topic that we need to talk about, but I just think like that's a huge number and a huge amount of savings, especially if the price of petrol and gas, it's huge.
As well, look, there's again net positive. To save the environment, or well, not I don't want to say save. To move forward in everything that we need in the actionable things that we need to do. This is probably a percentage, but it's not one of the biggest things. We need to do way more than this, and I don't think that maybe feeling like, oh well, now we have electric trucks, therefore we're all good. That's what I was coming from.
Yeah, but it's a move in the right direction.
It is
we've got a fire truck.
Absolutely.
And if this is successful and can be proved to be correct, other countries and other states or other stations are going to have them.
Again, maybe I am a little bit short-sighted by seeing this and saying, well, but you're right, absolutely right. If this starts working, then we may see more and more and more, and then then out come the lorries and the whatever you want them, and eventually this could be a bigger impact. And as you mentioned, the decarbonizing of the grid, which would be a massive one.
Well, I think that's the thing. Yeah, we've got different avenues. You say, yes, we do need to transition to EVs. And I think that's the particular area that I'm interested in and focused on. But yeah, more of a renewable grid. And it's just so many different areas, like even farming and agriculture is like a huge part as well.
It's a big one. Airplanes.
Yeah, it's so many different things.
Plastics.
But yeah, I guess for me, like I like to focus on the area that I can have the biggest impact, which is like looking into EVs and seeing how they can help. And sure, we can't do everything, and so I try to do the best I can in the areas that I think are going to help. So yeah,
I agree. Just wanted to put like a little pin on that. Okay, let's move forward.
Yeah. So I guess a kind of another related bit is that the US is now putting $1 billion into electric school buses to cut toxic air pollution. So I guess this is another angle on it. So it's not just about like climate change. It's not just about that sort of thing. It's also about the toxic fumes that petrol cars emit. Like a lot of people don't consider that. And they're like, oh, EV's bad. But if you think about the amount of carcinogens and horrible, like small particles that you're breathing in every time you're next to a car, and how this reduces the life expectancy of a whole bunch of people, that's massive. Even if we ignored climate change, moving to electric would still have a negative, positive impact on the world, especially for young children. So yeah, that's why this article is really exciting. The EPA has allocated nearly $1 billion for cleaner school buses, mainly electric, across 37 states. So it's not just one area, it's a bunch of different locations.
Is that enough, you reckon? $1 billion? Sounds like
probably not, but it's better than zero.
Well, I know. I'm not comparing it to zero, but again, I am the skeptical one. I am the sour and the sweet. So I hear $1 billion and I start, making like, okay, well, how much is a truck? How many trucks you need per school?
Well, you didn't let me finish.
Okay,
it's going to be 2,700 buses benefiting more than 7 million students in 280 districts. So it's part of Biden's administration's Investing in America agenda, which is focusing on reducing diesel emissions, which are the worst. The initiative should target by improving air quality, particularly in low-income, rural and tribal areas. The Clean School Bus program of the EPA has now contributed close to $2 billion towards this effort. So there's already been $2 billion put here, and this is an extra $1 billion. So yeah, the move underscores a commitment to environmental health and supports American manufacturing, which is cool, which is good for America too.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing. But maybe just make a side note about that we are not. I think one of the biggest problems with EVs is that they're getting politicized. Like, oh no, if you go for one side or you go for the other one, I have absolutely no dog in that fight. So we say Biden because he's the current president. We do believe that children breathing less diesel fumes is good in general. I think we can all sit down and say, you know what, maybe children shouldn't be breathing diesel fumes for 45 minutes one way and 45 minutes back.
Yeah, definitely. I think that is a overall net positive that a lot of people should be able to agree on. I'm sure there's people that will disagree, but yeah.
But okay, look. If you disagree that kids maybe shouldn't be breathing diesel fumes, look, there's not much we can do for you. Like really, like Kieran, come on.
True.
Anyway, yes. So a different angle and probably a very, very valid one. There's because we're thinking like, oh, children, whatever, but there's also, kids with asthma. There's kids with, with underlying conditions that they are affected by this kind of stuff, even if we don't see it immediately later on.
Yeah, well, I think also the noise as well. Like, I think a lot of people are affected by the noise, but you hear a loud bus going down, especially an older bus. It's in my head now. The diesel engine noise just grumbling down the road, and And I think for kids as well, you sort of get on the smelly old bus. So having a much
Super smelly.
quieter electric vehicle is, I think, going to be good. But it's also going to set an example, because if they see it like, oh yeah, I get on an electric bus, they might go and go, okay, well, I want to buy an EV too. But yeah, it's good. Another benefit of buses too is if they do have vehicle to grid, is that they can, if there is a power outage, say there's a flood or a tornado or something, and they can actually hook into the school can become a safe area, and that nowhere else has got power, but you've got this massive battery in your bus that can power potentially even a town for quite a long amount of time.
I don't know how long, but yes. Sorry, I'm the contrarian, but yes, again.
Yeah, well, it depends.
Did
Depends
you
how many
now?
people and whatever. But being able to have a huge battery in your, like a 200, I don't know how big the size of these particular batteries are, but having those huge batteries can power things for a very long time.
Yeah, especially hurricanes and stuff like that are a little bit more common these days, I reckon. Again, you spoke like a true engineer looking at this kind of stuff, and you're absolutely correct. I didn't think of that, but yes, good stuff all around.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Well, it's great chatting with you today, Victor.
Yeah, that's
it was good. We got passionate about some topics, and it was good to hear your side of the point of view. But yeah, keen to hear everyone else's comments as well below. I'm sure we'll get some good comments about some of the things we discussed today. Yeah, make sure to like and subscribe. It was really good to have you here.
And yeah, please, if we got something wrong, we are.
I got something wrong.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we did a couple of things. We tried to follow up on it. This is just a conversation of two friends that are mildly knowledgeable about things, but not of everything. So we encourage corrections. Please educate everyone around, and including ourselves. And yeah, absolutely, it was fantastic to chat. I know that I got passionate about there for a little bit. But I do believe in general, and this would, I promise I'll shut up after this. I do believe that honesty when massive change comes around is needed. So everything that cherry pick data or disingenuous information always rubs me the wrong way for that reason, because I think it takes away from what's really and truly important. So every time that I see this kind of side note about, oh, we're gonna save the world, look, hold on. Let's just take it for what it is and then move forward together. That's where I was coming from.
Yeah, good point.
Anyway, thank you very much, Kieran. And yes, please subscribe. See you next time.
See you next time.